Joining me now in the arena to discuss, the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee, Congressman Adam Smith of Washington State. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us today. What message does it send while she is not the target of this investigation, or is told she's not the target? It is highly unusual, this kind of aggressive action against a reporter.
Yeah, it's hard to say with the Trump administration. I mean, the Trump administration is certainly not the first administration to try to plug leaks and to try to identify sources for where those leaks are coming from. It is unusual to do this sort of a raid on the personal property and the personal home of a reporter. But then also with the Trump administration, given their history of how they've treated the media, the lawsuits that they've filed against media companies for reporting they don't like, Secretary Hegseth kicking everybody out of the Pentagon who wouldn't allow the stories to be pre-approved. I think it's also fair to look at this as another effort to intimidate the media so that they won't write stories that the Trump administration doesn't like, and I think a clear violation of the First Amendment.
So as this is playing out here in the U.S., we see in Iran anti-regime protesters out in the streets now. This started last month, and we have the president out there today. He says that he has been assured on good authority that there will be no executions, although he says we'll see. What is your understanding? I know you you've been briefed on all of this. What's your understanding of how imminent American action may be in Iran?
Yeah, well, two pieces of this. First of all, this is as far as it's ever gone in Iran in terms of the protests. This is different. There have been many protests against this regime over the years. This has risen to a level that a lot of people, experts that I've talked to before, who would say, yeah, but the regime's not really in trouble. I think there's a genuine feeling out there that the regime is in trouble. Now, it may not necessarily reach that point, but it's closer than it's ever been. And then if you follow the pattern of what President Trump has done in his second term, it was different in the first term. But on the first time, we bombed Iran. On the brief 3-month war against Yemen, on the removal of Maduro in Venezuela, Trump, when he usually starts talking about this and then specifically threatening, he follows through and does something. So I think it's reasonable to assume that sometime in the next several days to 1 week, President Trump will do some sort of military action in Iran. I think that is at least a 50-50 possibility at this point, given that pattern.
How far do you think he may go?
I don't know. I mean, you can look at some targets to sort of target the Iranian regime's internal security, the people who are trying to put down the protesters. But I either don't know or can't talk about how much fidelity we have. Are there available targets that would make sense there that wouldn't risk the civilian population? And the other big risk is if the U.S. does this, it runs the risk of giving the Iranian administration, the regime, an excuse to say, look, we always told you that it was the U.S., it was these outside agitators who were trying to take down our country. And as unhappy as the Iranian people are with their current regime, they're equally unhappy with foreign, usually Western powers, thinking they can dictate affairs in Iran. So there's a risk that a military action by President Trump would actually undermine the effort to change the regime.
What do you think we should do?
Yeah, I don't think we should get involved militarily. I think engaging regime change, dragging ourselves into a war in the Middle East, another war in the Middle East, is incredibly dangerous, an expense that the U.S. shouldn't engage in, and an enormous risk with, as I said, uncertain outcomes. I mean, part of what President Trump ran on was the idea that we're done trying to fix all the world's problems. Now, President Trump had different reasons for saying that, but I tend to agree with the sentiment because we don't really have the ability to do that. It winds up costing a lot and not getting the results that we wanted. We saw that in Afghanistan, we saw it in Iraq, we saw it in Libya. It is a lesson we should learn about the limitations of military power to reshape the world in the way that we want, and we should be more cautious in how we approach that.
If this is the most available opportunity that there has been for this regime to fall, as you alluded to at the top of this, is there a world where you could see it being in the U.S. interest for us to encourage the Ayatollah off the stage?
Yes, I mean, with understanding the limitations that we have to do that. I mean, if there was some magic switch to flick where we could easily, make this regime go away and have something better take its place, sure. There's just not that I can see. Now, someone can educate me on that and show me a path that gets us there. But understand the other part of this problem is you don't know what's going to come next. I mean, when the Shah fell back in 1979, at least part of that revolution was supposed to be a democratic revolution. There were people who were rising up against the Shah because they wanted greater freedom and greater democracy. They didn't win the power struggle that followed. And there's no guarantee how this would turn out either. It could turn into, or like Libya. You know, Gaddafi went away and we wound up with, what are we into now, like 14, 15 years of a civil war at this point. So that unpredictability should guide our thinking, I believe.
So, sir, I'm out of time, but I really do want to ask you briefly. You've said this president threatens and then he does. Is that going to happen with Greenland?
I'm worried about it. I mean, I have not gotten a full readout of the meetings today. I've been busy with other things, but I've read the headlines that say it didn't go well. And I think the other part of this that I should have mentioned is Trump is feeling emboldened. He doesn't pay attention to off-year elections or the fact that his poll numbers are going down and Republicans are losing. He bombed Iran and nobody stopped him. He took Maduro and nobody stopped him. I think he is feeling emboldened in a way that is a fundamental threat, well, to the rule of law in our Constitution. So no, I would not put it past him deciding to, I don't know, well, I'm not going to say that, but do some sort of military operation.
Oh, come on, say it.
Greenland. Well, no, I was going to say, because it might imply that I know of a specific plan. I do not know of a specific plan. I was going to say he could send 500 Marines into Greenland and take it over. And he could. He shouldn't for 1,000 different reasons, but he could. And as emboldened as he is feeling, what is the check on him right now? The Republicans in Congress have walked away from their responsibility to uphold the rights and responsibilities of our Congress. They've given President Trump carte blanche on everything. So he's feeling empowered, and I really hope that I hope the Senate passes that war powers resolution on Venezuela as a minimum. But yeah, there's a huge risk of that.
Yeah. Well, so far today, Admiral Stavridis has wondered about the 82nd Airborne taking Greenland. We've got 500 Marines from you. I guess we're going to find out who's right. Congressman Adam Smith, thank you very much, sir.
Hopefully not, but yes.
Very, very, very grateful to have you. Please do come back soon.